Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with FatPhil, and we've got a lot to talk about today in an FAQ. So, we're going to be talking about Leia, we're going to be talking about the Leviathan, and kind of the impact they have in the game right now, and kind of give you some, hope, right? That give you some hope that things will get better. We're going to be talking primarily, though, about the catch-up mechanics in this game, and what they look like, and how I think we often misinterpret what they mean by catch-up. So, obviously we're not talking about Heinz 57. We're talking about catching up to, the playing the most current version of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So let's go ahead, give our shout out to the channel members for their continued support. Again, if you are interested in joining, I always say there's a link down below. It's a shameless plug for channel memberships. Otherwise, all I can ask is that you hit that thumbs up button to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. So let's get into the game, and I want to talk about Leia and Leviathan first. So Leia is a huge problem in every facet of this game. You obviously have the new team that everybody's dubbing like the toxic Leia team. I mean, this is an insane team. They were like, oh, we don't want to split it apart, but this is so good. This team is just like insanely amazing. What I'm going to say is that Leia is at the peak of her powers right now. Like, the hope we have is she is at the peak of her powers. That right now, Leia is more powerful than she will ever be in the game again. There will never be a moment where she is more powerful than she is right now. Because there will be counters to her. We will learn how she works. Things will catch up. The datacrons will go away. So I want to give you that hope that they will get better. That this is not going to be something that's like this permanent character that nobody can beat. Things will change. Counters will arise. I really think that Jedi Knight Cal Kestis is a big part of countering her. Now, how much of that is his datacron is also up for discussion. So there's a lot of stuff there, and I think right now it's just she's so new that you've got to kind of deal with it. We really haven't had a character quite like Leia since Kenobi, where one character comes in and completely... Jabba was good, but Jabba did not quite have the same impact that Leia has, where no one knows how to beat her. Just amazing in everything she does right now, that she can do no wrong. And that was exactly what Kenobi was once he got Commander Tano. Let's make that clear, right? Once he got his Commander Tano, he could do no wrong, right? So again, I want to give you guys hope there. I'm going to be one of the players who will be suffering big time every single time I go up against her in GAC. I'm just going to get my clock absolutely cleaned, but it is what it is, right? The next thing I want to talk about is the Leviathan. This fleet is insane. It is dominating every aspect, and I'm going to show you guys the one trick I have for mirror matches in Fleet Arena. So what I have been doing is I've been running my Leviathan this way, and then what I do is I go ahead and I bring in the Phoenix ship here, right? I think this is the Phantom, right? I bring in the Phantom as a reinforcement. The goal here is that with the Phantom has its reinforcement ability here, right? Reduce the cooldown of the capital ship by 1. Now, why is that important? Well, because you want to bring in the Mark 6 Interceptor second, right? And the reason you do this, right? The Mark 6 Interceptor gains 30 stacks of Devouring Storm instead for every, if the capital ship is an Empire, right? For every allied of other reinforced ship. So you bring in Ghost, and it's going to gain 30 stacks. So you can bring in Ghost, and then the next turn you bring in your Mark 6 Interceptor. Let me show you guys this in action. Hopefully we get some decent RNG here. Because you need a little... there's RNG in every single fleet fight. Hopefully, I want to go second, because I want to show just, that you can still win. So I'm going to end up going first here with my ship. We'll go ahead and do that. Now let's see who wins the Sith fighter flip. Oh, and I do. So I'm going to end up just absolutely running I'm going to run away from this player, unfortunately for him. Right, there we go. We did this. Right, we dodged that. Look how, we're going to gain all this turn meter. So they go there. That's fine. So now we're going to go ahead, right? We're going to ping this guy over here. We're going to do that. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring in our Phoenix ship. So now we brought in our Phoenix ship, right? We're dealing damage to their guy, right? This is good. Let's go ahead, just heal up while we can. We're going to keep going here. So they hit our hangar, right? But that's fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the Mark 6 Interceptor here. And this is where you've got to decide what to do. I personally have been trying to kill their Sith Assassin, and that way I can continue to outrun them. So I'll go ahead, delete Sith Assassin. And now I'm going to just be able to completely outrun the enemy fleet here. Where it won't matter. They're not going to be able to take enough turns. Look, I already killed the Sith Bomber. Right? This was pretty good RNG here, I'm not going to lie. But you guys can see that a big part of that was being able to get my Mark 6 Interceptor out there as quickly as I did. And going to go ahead and look, like they're going to bring in their, this is their what, their first reinforcement. So look, they only gained, you know, a few stacks where I've gained significantly more. So now look, Redia Ultimate, just such an easy battle with this Phoenix ship. And now you can put it on auto, and it doesn't matter, right? The worst part of it, honestly, the worst part of this is now we're just going to have to sit here and, like, take away all of these stacks of this ship, right? This is the worst part of it. Like, this is just, I hate, this is seriously the worst part of this. It's just waiting around to get through. Look at it. Gain stacks, it's going to lose stacks, and you just got to keep going through. I mean, this is definitely the worst part of this whole experience. Let's just keep going. And, like, I mean, you could play it manually, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, it just, ugh. But again, you guys saw this was really good RNG, but you see the proof in the concept, right? That concept is you bring in your Phoenix ship, reduce your cooldowns, and we took so many more turns in their capital ship. One, because we were gaining turn meter, but two, we were able to get our reinforcements out. So that is the way I've been doing mirrors. Again, targeting the Sith Assassin makes a lot of sense, so that way you can continue to gain turn meter while they can't, right? Because again, that Sith Assassin ship has the, where's it at? Where's my Leviathan? The Sith Assassin, the unique ability, where's it at? That Sith allies gain 25% turn meter when an enemy falls below 100% health. So if you can make sure they're falling below 100% health, you're going to keep just going like crazy. But the big thing here, big ticket item, is talking about the catch-up mechanics. So obviously with these light speed bundles, everybody's like, oh, how is this supposed to catch me up? Like, I don't really understand how this is catching up players. Well, you've got to look at it from a certain point of view, to quote our favorite genre of movies in Star Wars. That from a certain point of view, these are catching you up. The way to think about that, if you bought these Lightspeed bundles, right, you spent like the $100, bought every single one for Starkiller, Rey, and Kylo. You probably saved yourself probably 18 months of farming. Which that's going to be the fastest way you can catch this game, is spending money. Now you got to spend it the right way. Obviously, these were the right way to do it. Another really good example of spending money for the sake of catch-up, right, in a really good sense. And again, catch-up, not the Heinz 57 version, catching up to the current state of the game. Your hyperdrive bundle will be another example, jump starting you to level 85. Those are things that a lot of us did not have the luxury of doing. We didn't have those luxuries. Like, some of us got, I got Rey through those packs, but I had every single character. Like, just for perspective, just to show you guys this, my actual farms here, I kind of called them out, right? And I said, but, like, I had all of these characters at 7-star, and a lot of them, I think 3 of them out of this grouping here, I had gear on. All of them were at least 7-star, but I had gear on a lot of these characters. So the packs, as good as they were, still didn't help me to the same extent that they helped players who didn't even have these characters unlocked in the first place. So that is the big thing that catch up, right? Those packs were amazing, and they allowed a lot of players to jump through a lot of hoops just through a swipe of a credit card that they would have had to spend years on. So that was a big way that they allowed the catch up to get you closer to the current state of the game. When they say catch up, right? When they say catch up, again, not Heinz 57, they're talking about catching the current state of the game, that they want you to be able to do hard mode conquest, Rise of the Empire, participate in the galactic challenges, grand arenas. They're not talking about catching the players like myself, or the guys who I'm trying, who I will never catch, like the people in my arena shard, right? I'm not meant to catch these guys, right? Just to, oh, Phil, they have Leia. That doesn't mean that you can't catch them. Just for perspective, right? I'm not meant to catch these guys. But I have been able to gain ground on them over a period of time, that I've been at least able to go from being at times 4 Galactic Legends down to just down 1 Galactic Legend. So you do catch up in certain regards, but you'll be behind in other areas. And that's kind of the way that, this game works, obviously, right? They've got to make money. But other ways that you can catch up, right? If you're not spending money, you're like, how do you do it? So the single drop farms, you got to think that for a long time, every single character in this game was only a single drop farm. Then they accelerated that. So when these characters have been in the game for a year, they go accelerated. So right now, I'm farming the characters for Leia. Now, obviously, they've done a lot of things to help us get Leia, but I'm farming them for Leia. The time and resources I've poured into these characters will basically end up being double what you will. If you're not farming them yet, it will end up being double what you will if you farm them when they're accelerated. That right there is catch-up in a nutshell. Think of the Jabba, right? For a lot of you who are starting to farm Jabba now, I farm these characters from, single drops. If you're doing it from an accelerated position, it's going to take you half as much time to farm your Jabba characters. So now that's less time you spend on Jabba. You're going to get Jabba sooner, and all the rewards that come along with him, you're going to get them for a longer period of time in your account than someone like me with the Smuggler's Run. So that's kind of the impact of these single drop farms, that you're getting things sooner, and then you're being able to use them earlier to better your rewards. So you've got the core gear drops as well, that they increase the amount of core gear. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, I don't have enough Kyrotech, but there's a lot of characters who don't need Kyrotech. There's two of them right there. Shore Trooper and Death Trooper don't need it until they get to Relic 13. Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, and I think even C-3PO. I think all of them don't take Kyrotech until Relic levels. Jedi Knight Revan doesn't. Bastila, Jolie, they don't. There's a lot of characters that you can equip, General Grievous, and I think even his droids don't have Kyrotech before that. I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of characters that you can get that do not take Kyrotechs early. But you're getting them to Gear 12 faster, which means you can use them in all these additional events sooner. Think of assault battles, galactic challenges, and conquest. If you're able to use Gear 12 characters and get into Challenge Tier 1, Challenge Tier 2, and earn rewards, you are going to be catching up to players who didn't even get a chance to get those rewards until they were, millions of GP more than you. One of the great examples I can think of right now is Conquest. Conquest is a perfect example where a lot of you are sitting there like, oh my gosh, I don't do hard mode Conquest, so I'm missing out on rewards. Everybody else who, think of players like myself and above and people, even below me a little bit, we got to 4 million galactic power without the help of Conquest whatsoever. So anything you get pre-4 million, pre-whatever million that person started being able to, play Conquest because it was released in game, is bonus to what they got. Those are the catch-up mechanics that kind of slide under the radar that I don't think you guys realize the full extent of all these extra additional events and rewards that are in the game now that can actually help you succeed, that are going to help you do more and more because they're more rewards. It's just more stuff for you to be able to obtain. So the combination of all of those things allows you to experience this game at a much faster rate than we did. And then finally, if we get down to characters like Nisa, who I showed at the time of recording today, makes the C-3PO event an absolute joke. You have Zori, who makes the Rey event significantly easier to the point that you don't need nearly as many Zetas on the rest of your resistance. And then a character like Marin, who's made the Night Sisters able to actually beat Challenge Tier 3. So every time that you can get through an event with less resources invested than somebody else, those resources can go into something newer, something to get you more things, and that cycle keeps happening, and it snowballs and it snowballs. To think of it in a better sense, I'd use an analogy of, think of New York City, and how many cities that try to compete with the size of New York City. And that New York City is just so vast, and it's been around for so long that when they build a new building, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is huge, and it's, this and that. But the reason they're able to do that is because they've built all the other infrastructure around it, that they've got this full area that can support something like that, But you build up small, right? When you start a new place, you build small, right? And then it gets larger and it gets larger and it gets larger over time, and it grows and grows and grows. But you might not ever reach the size of New York City because it's going to be able to continue growing, but it's growing at a slower rate. It's already so big. So I don't know. Hopefully that analogy kind of, sticks to it, right? That if you continue to grow both things, obviously you'll never catch New York, but you're going to get closer and closer to it. So I want to leave you guys with that. I think that, if we kind of circle back to the Leia and the Leviathan things, I mean, Leviathan, hopefully that helps you guys climb in Fleet Arena. But again, with Leia, I hope it does kind of give you some comfort that she'll never get better than she is right now. And then you go to the Leviathan, and I think the big thing there, the big learning curve, the big takeaway there for you is that as good as this ship is, there are some ways to finagle that mirror match, particularly for Fleet Arena. But I think this is another one where it's at the peak of its powers, where it's going to get easier and easier to beat this ship as newer and newer things get released. And then the last thing, right, again, with catching up to the current state of the game, they don't want you catching the players like myself. They just want you to be able to experience the newest things in this game sooner. So I'm going to leave you guys with all those things. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit that thumbs up button to like this video. Comment down below. And if you're still here, Wampa is king in the comments. You guys know the drill. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you're still watching and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe to get Wampa to Relic 9 at 10,000 subscribers. I love all you. May the force be with you. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.